No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at Albert Park, home of the Australian Grand Prix since 1996, and home to round one of this year's Formula One World Championship. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. Its combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners make it a tricky track when it comes to overtakes. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Red Bull establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Raback over 4 decades ago. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The fend starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, and Leclerc, Vettel, Perez, Ocon, and Daniel Kvyat. Gasly, Magnussen, Lando Norris, and Raikkonen, Grosjean, King, Martin, and Antonio Giovinazzi. Stroll, they've taken a grid penalty. Russell, Ricciardo, and Nicholas Latifi. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So welcome back, guys, to episode 2 of this My Team career mode. As you'd have seen just on the run through the grid, we have inherited a couple of places due to grid penalties. However, they are faster cars and it'll be a tough job to keep them behind us, but let's see what we can do. If you haven't seen part 1 of this career mode, I'll pop a link to it up on the screen now. It will be to the left of me. If you go and check that out for the first qualifying session of the year. So here we go, jumping into the race strategy. We're going to change that up pretty much straight away. So we're going to start on mediums. Or should we start on the softs? We'll start on the mediums and we'll go to lap 9. We'll try and stretch it. Stint 2, we'll jump onto super softs and we'll just go as quick and as hard as we can. The tyre around here is quite high. I'm still getting used to not having. Although looking at the forecast, there could be rain. Do we gamble? Let's gamble. I'm going to put on a set of hards and try and go long. And if we have to stop near the end, we will. Just looking at that rain forecast. So we'll jump straight on into the first race of the Pearcegaming My Team career mode. So we had Stroll and Ricciardo put behind us due to grid penalties. As you'll see there, our teammate did out-qualify us for this first race. A little bit embarrassing is what it is. This tyre is not good for Stroll, but I need to gamble to try and do something to drag this car up. If you have watched qualifying, you'll have seen how much this car was. The back end just needs to step out where we expected that. We're probably just going to be left off the grid by all the other runners around us on the soft tyres. We shall see, however. Let's ask on. We'll see whether or not looks like our gamble may not pay off, but around on these tyres as we can push. We can always get rid of these a bit earlier. Quite comfortably. Try and get to the 10. That's how we already messed that up. As we rejoin the grid for our first of the season, we will what we can do. Number 57 car of number 35 is Jordan. What we can do as a team. Simplistic livery. We've got 5 lights, and we are the season. Power on the overtake mode to try and not get completely swallowed going into the first corner. A bit cautious. We'll not be using flashbacks. We just want to make this as realistic as possible. As I've joined a online community for some league. Trying to sneak up the inside of the garage on their lovely little move. Got a bit of a train coming around here. Can we jump up the inside of our teammate into this? Too far back. But let's see what we can do to have gained on the slower tyres is quite a nice sign. Let's see what happens. I don't want to use all of our errors just yet. Let's try and settle into this race. Try and rear wings of the cars in front of us. We're about to be attacked from behind by the Haas, which is of course on the softer tyres, so that car will be quick at the final corner and will challenge us down the pit straight. However, we had a good final sector there. We've caught up to the back of our slightly, not as much as I would have hoped. We'll try and get in its toe and put us along. Defend from the Haas behind. We lose the back end coming around the first turn, so we're now on the back foot. We have to try and be late on the brakes, turn it in, just that path around the outside us off. We want to race hard, but we want to race fair. We don't want to be taking anyone out. Now we need to settle into a rhythm. Try and catch the pack of cars in front. They're all being held up slightly by the McLaren of, I think it was of Norris. I could be wrong. Into the fast left-right chicane. This is where the backlight in practice. So we want to try and not lose it there. I think if we do lose it anywhere, that's where it will be later into this race. Strategy wise, it's probably not the best strategy to be on. I think if we were doing a 50% distance race, it would pay off better. If you want to see a 50% race, then let me know and we can change the length of races from here on out. We can increase the distance by another 25% and you have longer to settle into the rhythm and try and find some pace out of this car. But initial feelings, it's still very super slidey. Back end trying to get away from us everywhere. There's a lot of, I'm not sure how much you can tell. The back end is not wanting to stick to the road. That has allowed the hassle of Grosjean to close up to us. So we have to get defensive soon, especially as the hassle. The DRS has now been enabled. I'm expecting after this left-right, we're going to be swamped by the Hasleys, but potentially Giovinazzi behind him in the Alfa Romeo. Like I was saying, we were going to lose it around there at some point. Back end just was not interested. I think what we're going to do is strap on a set of mediums. We're going to have to try and stretch them to the end. Who's that? Who's gone off in front? Safety car. That's going to help. I think we made the stop. I'm not really sure. Alright, so let's pit in here, strap on some new boots, get a new front wing. Right. Pull the clutch in. It's going to drop us back down, and we shall be away for, hopefully, the remainder of this Grand Prix. Put them into it. Disengaged. Let's catch up to the safety car queue. We're not going to absolutely gun it round. We have a Delta to go to, but we should. Let's wait for the leader. This might mean everyone takes the opportunity of a free pit stop. Would mean this seeming, what seems like a blessing might actually turn out to not quite be that way. That's how far behind we were. The safety car came out and we got to go straight in, but the leaders had already passed turn 1. So we've got a couple laps behind the safety car, so we should easily be able to get these mediums to the end as long as they're not too slip slidey. Safety car is a feature you don't see very often in your career mode, so for it to come out 3 laps into the first race is quite a promising sign for the rest of the season. Delta's disappeared. I don't like that. It disappears and then you go a few corners around it. It says, slow down, you're going too fast. But I think that's a little bug in the game. So we'll head on down into turns 1 and 2, try and catch the leaders who would have now been intercepted by the safety car. It does look like as predicted, just by seeing Verstappen and Vettel's name right down in 18th and 19th, that a lot of the runners have pitted for the fresh tyres. Let's hope that's not the case that everyone has, because that means we're not going to gain anything. But we'll see. There might still be some who didn't pit who want to extend their stint on the soft tyres, so fingers crossed for that. Where is this pack? We're not driving around slow anymore and we still haven't caught them. At this rate, it's going to tell me the safety car's coming in. This isn't going to have worked for us at all. Light again, need to be careful around there. Yeah, that's how many fast cars are at back. Verstappen, Hamilton, Vettel, there's a Renault in front of those, can't quite see who it is. In front of those there's another red, it looks like. McLaren in front of Ocon. Let's have a quick look. Who has stopped and who hasn't. So, staying out was Perez, Kvyat, Norris, Magnussen, Raikkonen, Jordan King, Grosjean, Giovinazzi, Stroll and Ricciardo. The rest of the runners have all stopped. So, Bottas, Albon, Leclerc, Sainz, Ocon, Hamilton, Verstappen and Vettel obviously Russell we knew about because he stopped the same time as us, have all stopped. The only person in the middle of that who hasn't stopped is Nicholas Latifi in the Williams, which seems a bit of an odd decision. But we're going to have another lap here under safety car conditions. Keep working the tyres, keep heat into them. Turn the engine back up to standard, we don't want to have it too heavy. A lot of spare fuel to play around with this, so work the tyres down into T3. This does mean the ERS battery has fully charged now. It sounds so lackluster when you sat behind a safety car. The game physically slows you down to give you a hand. We'll see how the racing point at the front wants to handle this restart. Should be the end of this lap. Get back up to racing speed. Yeah. Got that brake pedal, get those warm. I'm going to try a super move down into turn 1 on the Williams of George Russell. Hopefully try and catch some of the faster cars in front of him napping. A bit dubious. Let's turn the engine up. The leaders have gone. That shows how far behind we are. Back up the racing speed, here we go. Russell's eating a bit of grass, we ran a little bit wide. Overtake mode enabled, not quite close enough. George Russell looks up in front of us, we make a slight bit of contact, but we've got away with that. As expected, everyone in front of us is gone. This is going to be a race for P20. Back end, 3-second penalty, amazing. To be careful of that because obviously the computers will not be getting those. The reason we went for strict qualifying is again, as mentioned a couple of times earlier in the episode, we have joined an online racing league and hoping to use this just as a bit of fun, a bit of learning. We'll just see where it takes us. Yeah, 15 minutes the race will be over, so it's going to be a dry race. Again, stepping out yet again, we really need to work on the downforce of this car. I've not got massive wings on this, I've got 5.5, which should be more than enough to handle the twists and the turns of Albert Park. The back end just feels as light as a feather. We've got up to the back of Russell, we're now the tyre up to temperature, and we've put in a good couple of sectors, so hopefully pass him soon. A lot of people have made their pit stops, I've missed that. So we're now actually up to P13 and we don't have to stop again, so hopefully we can hold on to that as a minimum. Obviously we're going to push. We just missed the back end of Mr. Russell. He was very, very early on the brakes. Throw it round the chicane. Looks like there's some slower cars in front here. It's getting a bit dicey. They're all going to be slowing each other down. Nicholas Latifi, that's why. And Williams, who didn't stop under safety car conditions for whatever reason. Wow, lovely little sneaky move up the inside there. He left that very late to apply the brakes. So we'll sneak up the inside there and boogie on down to turn 1. We're now up to a P9. We're not going to catch this Ferrari. I'm very aware of that. Who's he got in front of him? He's got a Red Bull, Mercedes and a Renault. I don't think we'll keep up with these guys, keep pace, but we'll try and break George Russell out with the DRS toe behind us. Try and keep our nose clean and try and secure some points on our debut outing at the Melbourne Grand Prix. If you've made it to this point in the video, drop down in the comments where you think we're going to finish. Do you think we'll hold station? Do you think we'll fall back? Do you think we're going to retire? Do you think we're going to lose that ever increasingly slidey back end as again it tries to escape playing around the chicane? Vettel was now pulled another half a second on us there. He's now a bit further up the road, so it's going to be a bit of a quiet remainder of the race. But the cars behind are still quick enough to keep us on our toes. You can see on the mini-map there is a racing point rounding the last corner now, so I expect within 5 laps he'll be up with us. Especially that Ferrari's pulled right at a rate of knots, so we need to try and be conservative with our errs, so we've got some power to defend with come the end of this Grand Prix when we've got some company from quicker cars as again the back end steps right out on us. I'm not sure if this is because I've put the wrong setup on or whether this is just because the back end of this car is ever so slowly. I do know from a past my team career mode the first race is extremely difficult in terms of the back end. It just, you light up the rear so easy, just edging the power on, and then it just escapes from me. I'll tell you what I overlooked actually. I've got a 3-second time penalty value at the end of this, so I need to get a boogie on to stay in the points here. Russell is now 2.5 seconds behind us, so we can stretch out to 3. And if he can somehow keep that racing point behind him, then we could be in luck, but I don't hold my breath. Use Ultra of our Earth battery down the straight here just to try and pull away a little bit. There's the 3-second mark there or thereabouts. So we're going the right way. I am happy that it feels realistic. We've got the difficulty on Legendary, right at the bottom of Legendary, but we're on Legendary difficulty now. It's the highest I've ever had it. We're now in a brand new car that's realistically should be the slowest car on the grid. As we run wide again. How's the old tyre deck looking? Just not too bad. 33% on the rears. All that rear left is looking excessively warm compared to the rest, but that's to be expected. George Russell starting to close the gap on us with our sloppy first 2 sectors, so we need to get a boogie on up the road now, because right behind him is the racing point of Sergio Perez. And he is not going to waste time getting past Russell. We'll probably do it down the pit straight under DRS with a load of overtake. So around the last corner, very hesitant to the back end, just getting ever so light again now. We need to push, but we don't want to push too hard, else we're going to lose the back end and we're not even going to finish the race. So I'd rather finish P11 and finish than not finish, because we lost the rear end trying to escape the faster cars behind us. There you go, about 6 seconds now, so. That takes the points finish out of it. We just need to try and finish this race, get to the end. I will, for future episodes, look into a better setup format, because that could be partially to blame. I'm quite lazy when it comes to setup, so I'll look online and try whatever I can to get a good setup. I can do my own setups, it takes me a long time to do them, and I just want to pump content out and get these videos to you guys. So if we can find a setup online that work for us, why wouldn't you use them? You work smarter, not harder. We've got 3 laps left. Let's try and pull the gap out on Russell. On the same tyres as us, same lap. He's 3 seconds behind us. That's not 3 behind Perez. You can see on the mini-map he's not that far behind him. But that racing point is going to be up with us soon. I'm not going to waste too much time playing with him. In reality, we're just going to leave more time by doing so. Hopefully, we can get past just before the DRS activation zone, and we can use that to stretch the gap out on the Williams. There's behind him. Russell not having a bad race for Williams, up in P11. He's going to get points by the time we get penalised for our version of the Melbourne circuit. And here comes Perez. Just let him slide up the inside. We'll have DRS down the pit straight. We can also get in his toe. We can try and use him to pull us along. That's the plan. Level the throttle, turn on the overtake button. We need to try and gain 6 seconds on as many cars behind us as we can. No! That's the front wing gone. A disastrous end to our first Grand Prix. We may have just taken Magnussen out of the race. I say we may have, we have. So, sorry for that, K-Mag. We're so far from the pits. We'll crawl back round to the pits. We will finish our race, but we will finish it behind everybody else, which is a shame. It's not what I wanted for the first race for me, but sometimes these things can't be helped. Back end on this car is very loose, so we lost the back end. Rounding the first corner, I think we took too much curb in hindsight. As we take a slight detour, make sure we lift off so we don't get penalised for doing that as well. We're going to finish this race a lonely P20. So then we're coming in. Speeding in the pit lane, so we're going to have to sit there for 5 seconds as well. Now, just to really top off a disastrous first episode, who else is coming? Both Saubers. We might be able to race one of these to the end here, which would be nice. And here we go. We won't be racing significant really, because we've got 11 seconds worth of penalties to add on at the end of this race. Let's just get this first race out of the way. A lot to learn. Lots to learn. As Valtteri Bottas takes victory for Mercedes at the Melbourne Grand Prix. I don't think there's any surprises there. I think Mercedes, as we know from last season in the real world, are going to absolutely dominate this season of the game unless the teams throw a lot of time and money and effort into developing their cars. I don't think it'll make much difference. Go into the pits with overtake mode on. I mean, that could be why we lost the back end. We didn't disengage the overtake button, so we have to keep an eye out for that in the future. As we come round to finish this race, a lonely P19. We touch and go as to whether or not Raikkonen picks us to that P19. Finish P19 on the road either way. I think he will pick Bunny to go there. So he's having a stonking lap on those fresh tyres. Yeah. So we're going to finish a lowly P20. Lots to learn, like we said. We'll get there. We need to heavily develop this car as Daniel Ricciardo picks up driver of the day. He started way down in P21, I think it was, so we'll see where he did finish. We shall probably have a quick look at the race highlights and then we'll call that episode there. So while we're just loading to the podium cutscene, I want to thank you for getting to this point in the video if you have done. If you have enjoyed this rather disappointing first episode, then please like the video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, click the bell so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. As mentioned earlier in the video, I am racing Saturday evenings from 8 PM UK time in a league with other drivers. We had our first outing at Austria as we've joined halfway through the season last time out with that league, and we finished a solid P6 on our debut, which I'm very happy with. We're racing for the Alfa Romeo team. Obviously all the cars are equal, so it makes no difference whatsoever.
Here's how things look in the drivers' table. And with today's impressive result, Charles Leclerc steps
Ooh.
into the championship lead. Let's focus on the driver of the day.
Late dramas there then.
Who do you pick?
Charles Leclerc showed exactly how to manage yourself out on the track today. He was almost flawless out there. Incredible stuff.
Charles Leclerc taking the win after Bottas and Albon both had a penalty to be added on. I wonder what that was for. Incidents. Mine and Pearce. Look how many incidents we had there. Oh no, Jordan King had a collision with Norris. What happened with Bottas? Severe collision with Ricciardo. Albon, severe collision. That will be where we caught that train after the safety car restart. Kevin Magnussen was out. So yeah, they had time added on to the end of their Grand Prix, which is a shame for them. Jordan King finishing a very respectable P14 for Pearce Racing. So our top three were Leclerc, Bottas and Albon. So let's hope for a better time next time out for the... My mind's gone blank. I'm trying to think where the next race is. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next one.